art of Kazakhstan, from idea to realization, through the faces and details that usually remain behind the scenes. What inspires artists, what is their creation process, on what artists and poets, musicians and playwrights reflect upon, how do they present themselves to the world, how do they express the essence of their era. Together with Carmine Barbaro, we immerse into the world of creative search, into an atmosphere of trial and error, discoveries and revelations.
My name is Carmine Barbaro. 23 years ago, I came to Kazakhstan and stayed to live here because I fell in love with its people, culture and art. Today I am going to the Kasteev Arts Museum to see an exhibition dedicated to the national contest among artists. Independence left by ancestors. It is important to note that the first place in this contest was taken by the grandson of the legendary artist of Kazakhstan, Dauren Kasteev. I grew up in a special, creative atmosphere. Both my grandfather and father were engaged in painting and sculpture. Artists came to our house, they talked about art, and first of all, there was always the realization that my grandfather was a great artist. And they told me since childhood, be proud, Dauren. My brother and I examined his paintings, reproductions, then we often went to the museum, and it left deep impressions on me. This is a big responsibility, and to some extent it puts pressure, but at the same time it helps. This is the very thing that doesn't allow you to relax and work superficially, without investing a part of yourself. When you work from the heart, every artist, every creative person, I think he invests a part of himself into his art, music and literature. Of course, I want to experiment. I am just starting to move in this direction. Classical painting, easel painting, landscape, still life, dramatic, historical painting. Historical paintings are generally very complex and are of great responsibility. You only try to touch it. Well, illustrations for books, of course, children's books.
The exposition is not only a science, but it's also an art. It's very important to decide how to use the space effectively, how to exhibit the art in a special, effective way. This is difficult, but it's an art. Still, the exhibitor must have some kind of creative potential. And in my practice, I noticed that professional artists, they're very successful in dealing with exposition. They understand what it is.
The success of any exhibition largely depends on the quality of art and the skills of artists. And also from competent exposition, from the way the works were arranged at the exhibition space.
The canvases are all big, monumental. Now the challenge is to put them in this room so that they all will be seen and noticed. And here is the chance for the exhibitor to showcase his skills. And the main case is to show the first three places first, to focus more attention on them, to show the second and the third places so that when people come in, the first thing they see are the first nominations.
When I started to work on the triptych, I primed the canvas and laid it on the floor for it to dry evenly. At that moment, they knocked at my workshop, where I was temporarily working. I opened the door and there was my son Alihan. He's small, he's only 2 years old. He ran quickly, in shoes, and stepped directly on the canvas. I got scared, picked him up from the canvas as soon as I could. I was afraid that canvas would break, but thank God, the synthetic Chinese canvas saved me. I am closer, probably after all, to oil and watercolor. Watercolor, because I painted landscapes with watercolors. And it was even easier for me to paint with watercolors because my grandfather used to work with them. I think I am so affected with it. It is light, pleasant, beautiful, there is depth in it. But oil is power and possibilities.
At this exhibition, we presented artists from Almaty, Astana, Karaganda, Pavlodar, Shymkent, and Taras, as well as works with various historical events from the life of the Kazakh people are portrayed. For example, the work that took the first place is Aktaban, shubaryndy. These are the events of the 18th century when Kazakh tribes were crowded with Mongolian-speaking Dzungars. This was a very brutal war, and therefore it is called Aktaban shubaryndy. Aktaban literally translated from Kazakh as white heel bone. It was bloody. 2/3 of the population was killed by the Dzungars, and to escape, people ran barefoot. There was a lot of blood, and they had a white heel bone visible. It was a hard time, and such a triptych was created by Dauren Kasteev, and he was able to convey very well all the tragedy and drama of the time.
The very theme of the historical genre in the visual arts of our country is very complicated. Because in Kazakhstan, according to an objective assessment, we don't have enough of historical artifacts and evidence, some scientific works. Especially, there are few pictorial elements that would be preserved in books, miniatures, as it is in Chinese or Arabic sources. That's why it is much more difficult for our artists to work in this genre. I agree with the Commission because the theme of Aktaban shubaryndy and the Dzungarian invasion is very deep in the memory of our people. We are used to solemn, festive paintings, but here it is a completely different topic. And in the collection of the museum, there are only a few of the works of this genre.
There is a feeling that there are a lot of paintings of Huns and Batirs. Maybe it's true. But when we analyzed the current artistic situation, we came to the conclusion that there are very few such stories, and these stories are being replicated endlessly. And we wanted new characters, new stories, new interpretations, and for artists, it's another opportunity to create new stories. We think that this genre is also of interest to the artists themselves. The historical genre. After all, despite the fact that 25 years have passed, we're still in the state of searching for national identity. We're still on this path.
I want to note the well-deserved first place of Dauren Kasteev. He's a great master. It is surprising how subtly the artist, Jibek, conveyed a feeling of piercing cold in the work on the eve of the formation of the Golden Horde. For a long time, I looked at the painting Falconry by the talented master Arshin Kabulbek and the Shorginsk Battle by Serhiy Tainov reminded me of the style of the Italian artist of the 15th century, Biaro Angelico. Artists, along with writers, historians, philosophers, are writers of the past and present life of the nation and the country. Often it is the view of the artist, the images he offers, that allows people to feel, understand, and accept themselves and their place in life deeper. And everyone else should know Kazakhstan better, get acquainted with its history and culture. I was very pleased to visit this exhibition. Very strong works are presented here. I am sure that in any European country, this exhibition would be a hit.